Welcome to Libertarian Counterpoint. I am your host, James Just. With me today is Mr. John Cameron, my favorite author, and he should be yours. All right, John, there's been, it's been an interesting week, and I'm not even sure how I feel about this one. So, Trump had he blew up a boat. Well, actually, I saw the video of this. He didn't actually blow up a boat. A boat seemingly just kind of randomly caught on fire as it was speeding through the water. So I'm not sure what they hit it with.
Laser?
Yeah, maybe, because it just kind of came up in flames. It didn't, like, you know, if it had hit by a rocket or a missile. So there was a
video of it?
Yeah, there's a video of it.
Oh.
If it had been hit by a missile, it would blow up, the boat would be gone.
No.
But the boat just kind of caught fire in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very strange video. I'm not sure what they would have gotten it with. But anyway, he said there was 11 terrorists killed on a strike on a drug vessel in the Caribbean. They had left, allegedly, they had left Venezuela and were heading towards somewhere, some drop-off point, right?
Drop-off point in the U.S. or in another
It could have been in the U.S. Well,
country?
The logistics.
That's a long way. No, actually, Venezuela is not that far from the U.S.
You go past Cuba and then up to the
up there. Yeah,
yeah, it's a couple hundred miles.
Yeah,
and in one of those, you know, four big motor speedboats, right? They had.
Is that what it was? A cigarette? They used to call them cigarette boat. Was it one of those flashy
it was one of
ones?
those. It was a deliberately designed. It wasn't one of the cigarette speedboats, but it had four big motors in the back. You know, 300 horsepower, 250, 300 horsepower. So there was a good 1,000 horsepower on that boat.
Yeah.
And it was going at a full clip.
Until it caught on fire.
Until it randomly caught on fire. But, you know, John, we're not happy with executing people without due process.
No. And the idea of combining the word terrorist and drug runner and calling, you know, yes, fentanyl and other drugs are having a bad effect on a lot of people in the U.S., although those deaths are dropping drastically. But there's an easy fix for all of this. I mean, those people aren't going to stop taking drugs. And the fentanyl problem happened when the FDA or whoever it was sent out a guidance letter that had they sent it out with threats to doctors and said, you need to stop giving people oxy. So you had all these people, I don't know how many people were on oxy then,
Yeah,
20 million?
Yeah.
20 million people, and then you take their addictive drug away. What are they going to do? They're going to go find something to replace it on the street. And who's the nice capitalist drug dealers are going to supply drugs, and they're not going to be clean drugs, and the quality control is going to be bad and everything else, and then you get 100,000 deaths. A lot of those deaths are deaths of despair anyway. A lot of the people that are on addicted to opioids have a screw loose, and the opioid fits into that screw, and it's the only way they can get through their life. I mean, the story back to, there's a lot of people who could take fentanyl, who could take oxy, and take it recreationally and not get addicted to it. Say, well, no, that's impossible. It's addictive. No, Vietnam is a lesson. Something like 50% of American troops in Vietnam were using opioids on a regular basis. They thought we were going to have a horrible heroin addiction problem when people came back to the States. But when they came back to the States and got away from the environment where the drug was easy to get and went back to their girl Sally next door out in Iowa, very few people got addicted. So it's simple economics, provide a good, clean, get people to come down to the pharmacy, get tested. Yes, you're addicted. Here's your maintenance supply. Come back tomorrow, we'll give it to you again. Oh, by the way, you might want to see a psychiatrist, but now we're not paying for prisons and cops and lawyers. We have the money for mental institutions.
Yeah, and then those who do have shall we say, a large negative cultural reaction to it, those are easier to spot, easier to pull out and deal with.
Yeah.
Right? You're actually removing the people who can at least somewhat function versus the people who can't.
And the people who can't,
they're not going to be able to anyway.
Period. Yeah. So make sure they're not selling their bodies or breaking into cars to take care of their drug habit, and try to help them, you know, at least live a somewhat less painful life sleeping under a bridge abutment in their own feces. I mean, it's an easy fix, but we don't want to do it.
No. And And we don't want to do it, John, because we like the feeling of control. Our politicians and
I don't like it.
and even
I don't need to control anybody else.
even our
Yeah.
general populace, we love the feeling that we're controlling things, that we're solving problems, even when we're not actually solving the problem.
War on poverty, poverty went up. War on drugs, more
Drugs have won, yeah.
Right? If we declare a war on freedom, freedom will break out everywhere. Oh wait, we have declared a war on freedom, haven't we?
Well, no, we declared a war on terrorism, which is why freedom has been declining. Because we didn't declare a war on freedom.
Yeah.
If we had been honest about it and declared the war on freedom, freedom would win. But
Yeah, and people would be pissed if you said we're declaring war on freedom.
well, maybe that's what we should label this one: war
What's
on
that?
freedom. And see what happens.
Oscar? It's not Oscar Wilde. Who's the guy?
Oscar the Grouch? That's the only Oscar I think
I got a
of.
quote I got to find, but I can't find it now.
All right, well, you can find it while Richard is talking. Richard has this.
Oh, I can find anything while Richard's. No, I didn't say that, Richard. I like you.
Richard has a theory about big man government this week, so let's find out what Richard has to say.
You notice they're mostly tall.
Who?
Xi's tall for China.
Hi, this is Richard Fields with this week's Report from the Fields. Donald Trump has few philosophical or any other kind of beliefs, but he does believe in one primary thing: big man government, where he is the big man. As the big man, he wants to do lots of big things, expensive things, like spending money on quasi-military operations, ICE to kick out immigrants, most of whom pay more in taxes than they get in government benefits, federalized National Guard troops to pick up trash, move homeless people from one neighborhood to another, and arrest sandwich tossers in Washington, D.C. And any other big city he decides to troll in late-night truth social posts. More new weapons for prolonging Ukraine's losing war. Rebates, quote unquote, on tariffs. The list is endless. Problem is, the federal government has no extra money for his big man projects. They have to borrow it. The current debt level of the federal government is over $37 trillion. When you add in the off-balance sheet obligations for little things like Social Security, Medicare, and the like, the debt balloons to over $103 trillion. Almost $300,000 for every warm body living in the country. Lenders are starting to worry about the risk-free part of the risk-free Treasury obligations. They are demanding higher interest rates to lend to poor old Uncle Sam. Big man Trump thinks he can solve that problem by getting the Federal Reserve, which controls the short-term interest rates, to lower them. The chairman of the Fed board, Jerome Powell, ironically a Trump appointee, has been unwilling to lower those rates, citing the persistence of inflation, likely exacerbated by Trump's tariffs. So the big man wants to fire Powell and any other board members who don't fall into line and lower interest rates, and then replace him with his lackeys. Problem is, the courts may rule he doesn't have the authority to fire them, except, of course, for cause. And Fed board member Lisa Cook may have given him cause. Seems that Ms. Cook may have committed mortgage fraud by applying for two mortgages at about the same time, claiming each was her principal residence, thus qualifying for lower interest rates. That's actually a felony, probably enough cause for Trump to fire her. Or, since she refuses to resign, for Fed board chairman Powell to fire her. If he doesn't, does that then give Trump cause to fire him? That would give the big man a majority on the board of the board seats, enough to get his low short-term interest rates. Perhaps the big man should be careful what he wishes for. Yes, the Fed can lower short-term interest rates, but that would be long-term inflationary. That's why the 10-year and 30-year Treasury rates continue to remain high and rising. They're pricing in some extra yield to cover expected inflation. All of this begs the question, why are we letting a bunch of bureaucrats set interest rates, which is actually the price of borrowing money? The price of money is the most important price in a capitalist economic system, particularly bureaucrats with no particular talent for figuring out what the cost of money should be. Jerome Powell is a lawyer and investment banker. Lisa Cook is an accomplished academic economist, but in macroeconomics and international economics, not monetary policy. She was also part of the anti-free speech crowd that piled on Harold Ulig, who politely questioned on Twitter the defund the police narrative when he was editor of the Journal of Political Economy. She wanted him fired for that. It's amply clear why Joe Biden or his handlers would appoint her. It's not clear what, if any, qualifications she has for setting price controls for money. But the real question is why we as a country continue to allow a bunch of bureaucrats at the Fed to set the price of money, particularly when they target the price for money, whenever that target envisions 2% inflation, an inflation rate that halves our wealth within our lifetime, not once, but twice. A gold standard and no central bank at all works very well for average people, even as it lessens the ability of Wall Street elites to unjustly enrich themselves. It's high time to end the Fed and replace it with nothing, and make big man politics unaffordable. That's this week's Report from the Fields. I'm Richard Fields. See you again next week.
Big government, big man government, it's all the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you can go back to Woodrow Wilson, I suspect, if you really wanted to really, or Lincoln, if you actually wanted to really.
I'm not as worried about the big men as I am the nameless men that hide in the multi-layered bureaucracies. There was like 70,000 people or something that work for the State Department. What could 70,000 people possibly do for the State Department?
Well, they'll find something to do.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's
yeah.
the
I found the quote. I was, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, this is one of my favorite quotes. I should be able to. The welfare of the people in particular has always been the alibi of tyrants, and it provides the further advantage of giving the servants of tyranny a good conscience. And it has to do with drug treatment, and it has to do with social welfare, and it has to do with the American River that they're going to destroy in the name of safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, tyranny has always got up in the name of safety for the children, right? Whatever it is.
Let's
the minute they start saying it's for your own good, you should, you know.
Let's keep the children safe on the internet.
Yeah.
Don't let them go on the internet if you want to keep them safe.
That's my job, thank you. It's
That's
my
the
job as a
parent-
parent and a
the
grandparent
parents'
to keep my
yeah.
child or grandchildren
But it does.
safe.
It ties into the next subject as well.
But it does.
next
So
topic.
we'll move on. You know, in South America, there's political change is in the winds, right? We've seen Argentina go from socialism.
Ecuador to sort of, yeah.
Ecuador is gone. Is it more? I guess it is more freedom for the average person. El Salvador was a really.
Was it El Salvador? I was
Yeah,
talking
El
about?
Salvador with
yeah.
Burley.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was overrun with gangs, and now all of a sudden it's the most peaceful place in Central America.
Then again, so is Singapore.
Yeah. So.
But they have capitalism there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have capitalism in El Salvador now as well, because now average people can actually go and have their business without 40%, 50% of it being stolen by the gangs. After having the other 40% stolen by the government. So now they're only having 40% stolen by the
Yeah, here
government.
it's mostly the government that steals most of it.
Most of our money. Oh, the government is a protection racket. But Bolivia is the real change. Bolivia has a long ruling party, has essentially been wiped out in essentially the first round of their voting. So we're looking at either a centrist or they call them far right, but it's.
Here it would be called conservative, but the news media calls it far right if it's not left.
Yeah. And then there was the third place finisher was actually the hardcore libertarian guy. So even that.
And which means he has power to help them build a coalition.
Yes.
Yeah, and the MMA, or some weird acronym for the Freedom and Peace, which means just the opposite party, had barely enough seats to actually qualify as a political party according to their law. They went from majority party to 7 delegates in the space of 4 years. I think?
They've essentially been wiped out.
Yeah.
Except for their handheld, their few little strongholds. They've essentially been wiped out.
Yeah.
Because what's happened is their next door neighbor is Argentina, and they get to look and say, hey, Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
So
How'd they do that?
they're starting to look pretty good over there, and so they're we've seen that there's a new way, and that's what really Malay and Argentina can show, is that there is a different way to solve your country's problems rather than depending upon government more and more and more.
If it was up to our press here, you wouldn't hear anything except for bad stuff about Malay. Oh wait, that's all you do here.
That's all you do here.
Yeah.
You have to go and look other places to find real, genuine stories.
Oh, it's cool because there will be. I don't know what her name is. We did something. We talked about her a while back. She was too young to run for president in one of those countries down there.
Yes.
She actually wears a Soviet military hat, and a great speaker, young lady, very well spoken, passionate about the cause. She's going to end up being president of one of those countries pretty quick.
Yeah.
She's, I can't remember her name.
I can't either, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the places that have been the hardest core socialists, right here, at least here in Central and South America, are now starting to turn, because after 50, 70 years of socialism repeatedly failing you, at some point, right, you're going to have to go, no more.
And Bolivia has massive amounts of oil resources as well as mineral wealth.
Yeah.
And people can't get gas. They're sitting in lines for their cars for days. So that tells you how well New York's going to run if what's his name is in charge of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's why we here in the United States or in Europe, Western culture, are going away from the very things that gave us Western culture to begin with. It's astounding.
Freedom, capitalism, freedom of religion.
Which oddly enough brings up something that came over the news today. Tim Kaine the other day said our founding principle, that our rights are given to us by our Creator, he said it was fundamentally wrong. Rights come from government and policy.
Say what?
That's what Tim Kaine said.
Who is Tim Kaine?
He was Hillary Clinton's vice presidential nominee. He was the guy who was running for vice president. He's in Senate. Yeah.
Huh.
Tim Kaine actually said that our founding principle, that our rights come from our Creator, be that evolution or God, whichever your belief is, right? That's why they didn't say God; they said Creator. That is fundamentally wrong.
Huh.
That
they're
rights
given
come
to you
from
by the government. Yeah. Huh.
Which
Doesn't our
tells you
Constitution say that all rights that
Well,
the
John,
government is given permission by the people to have control of certain things?
yes.
So he never read that?
Well, no, they don't care.
Yeah.
Since when do we?
Didn't he swear to uphold the Constitution?
Well, they all have, but none of them care.
There you go.
None of them actually care about the Constitution, John.
They call it they say fetishizing some old pieces of paper.
Yeah.
And very seldom do I want to just punch somebody in the face, but when they say something like that, I just want to punch them right in the face.
All right, we've got 10 minutes. I want to move on.
Tiger
John.
on the Mekong or something else?
Yeah, we got Tiger on the Mekong. So Vietnam, which it's been a weird country since the end of the Vietnam War, right? It's clearly a communist state, but it's got a huge dose of capitalism in it.
Yeah.
And has been quite successful.
Yeah.
And so that's the question. How long is that going to be able to last? Are the communists going to be able to help themselves and keep their hands off of the...
No, because they want to stay in control of, they want to own the means of production, but they want to be a capitalist country. And they're pointing at other countries that have achieved economic miracles, but unfortunately they left out the part that those other countries also have democratic two-party, at least, processes, like the what do they call them? The Lions of the Baltic, or the Latvia, Estonia, and the other one. I mean, they were just basket cases until everybody in the country said, freedom, let's get out of the way of capitalism, let's lower taxes, let's get rid of regulation, and look what happened, miracle. So can you have that kind of miracle with a central single party government that is communist or socialist. The Chinese have sort of achieved it, but they're not really communists. They're basically military dictatorship. So I don't know. I think they're going to be successful, but I think what's going to happen is that people are like everywhere else. They're going to see that the underlying principle of freedom of action in the market needs to happen in the government as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are the one place, right, where you could actually make an argument that communism or socialism has worked. I mean, depending upon how much individual freedom you choose, right? But you're not free.
It doesn't work forever.
No.
Because people in charge will decide they need to be more in charge.
Yeah, how they have managed to keep a single person from ruining that place is actually probably the key.
Yeah.
Right? How do they keep cycling in new leaders? And so there is some trick that they have learned that we should probably,
not teach other people, because just go full on capitalist Democrat.
They're not going to be able to pull it off.
No,
It's
no,
cultural,
no,
right?
no.
It's not something you can. It's probably not something you can processize. It's probably something that's a deeply embedded cultural thing, and that you can't replicate it in other places.
Yeah.
I would suspect. All right, so something you and I are celebrating here, John, is the decline of big labor.
On Labor Day, we celebrated. I celebrated that.
Yeah, I mean, as a gig worker, ex-gig worker, I suppose. Now, I celebrate the
You're
decline
actually
of-
employed by somebody now. It's crazy
Against
to think
my
about.
will, though, by John. If it hadn't been for AB5 and the whole mess that followed that, I would probably still
be gigging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were going to take away my livelihood, or the ease at which I could earn my livelihood.
Yeah, it's amazing who got carve-outs, though. Lawyers, engineers, architects, professional people that gave lots of money to the Democratic Party,
Yeah.
doctors, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Well, the
Dentists.
licensed class, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The licensed classes.
Yeah, the elites,
are the ones who got.
the government-sponsored monopolies that keep their jobs safe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the idea that again, said it before, or we will say it, I get confused, that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, I don't know if he had made government unions illegal, or he wanted to keep them illegal because he knew what would happen. So the only places unions are growing is in schools, and we see how well they're working, teachers' unions, right? And I've got some numbers on that somewhere, but I think I don't know if we'll get to it. But if we get to the thing about the numbers, it's crazy that the only place union membership is growing is in the government. And in the Janus decision said specifically that people have the right to opt out, Supreme Court decision, of paying a union dues that they could turn around then and spend to buy favors from the government, which is what they do, and to guide policy from the government. And all of these lower courts have chosen to ignore that. But there's two wonderful lawsuits floating through to the Supreme Court which should reinforce that. And they're going to start overthrowing those cases because,
it's these are the same group of people who claim to care about our courts and democracy and stuff, but yet they ignore them when they choose to, right? That's
but heaven forbid you ignore one of their guidance statements that one of their independent regulatory agencies gives you.
And here's the thing: we wonder why big labor is declining, because they offer nothing to the employer anymore. They used to at least offer training, right? The unions took care of training. The unions took care of a lot of the HR functions. If someone needed to be replaced, the union would send the replacement. You call up the union, say, John's not working out, we need a new person. They'd send you Jane, right? Train Jane. They'd sit down with you and say, okay, which one of our members is best for here? And then they put that out for bid amongst the members. I mean, that's how my grandfather's union worked.
Yeah.
The modern unions don't work like that. They protect the worst workers.
Yeah.
And essentially, if you're a high quality worker, why would you want a union?
Well, it's
They're
like,
actually limiting you.
The teachers' unions are the best or worst example of that. Why would you not, if you wanted to educate the best and the brightest, do what they do in the private sector? I mean, public school teachers in California are paid double what private school teachers in California are paid. And the private school teachers in California turn out a much better product, which is an educated student. That's their job. Their job is to turn out educated people who know how to do a job.
Yeah,
right?
We got a couple minutes, John, so we're going to actually move on, which is talking about the teachers union, which kind of answers this question. It's, Jared Moskowitz admits
Democrat.
that Democrats were afraid to speak out against the school closures because of the teachers unions. They were afraid of teachers unions.
Yeah.
Teachers unions carried so much power within the Democrat Party that you literally are afraid to speak up for the children, the people you are supposed to be protecting.
Yeah.
It's for the children. No, it's not for the children. It's for the teachers unions.
Yeah.
Because the teachers unions wanted it, so the teachers unions got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Amy Weingarten, is that her name?
Yeah,
Said,
yeah,
to
something like that,
open
yeah.
the schools back up, you must forgive all debt, all student loan debt that teachers are carrying, and declare capitalism the enemy of the people. It was crazy stuff.
Yeah, there was all kinds of crazy stuff that they wanted
and
to
then
add.
we'll open the schools.
Or in their contract here in California, when their contract things, when they go up for contract renewals and discussions, there's all kinds of unrelated things thrown in there. We've got school lunches or all this kind of various things. No, I thought we're talking about teacher pay.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to.
Teacher benefits.
Teacher pay, teacher benefits, hours working.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
It would be what. We've lost the script, John. We wonder why our education system doesn't work. It's because it's no longer an education system. It's an employment system for.
When did the servants become the masters?
When? FDR?
Yeah.
FDR?
I think it started before him. But
LBJ?
It really.
When did it get
really-
entrenched? FDR? LBJ? LBJ? Great Society?
Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
When it really became entrenched?
Yeah.
Right after what was it? Right after
And then
Eisenhower?
all the letter agencies under Nixon, right?
Yeah.
It was and he was supposed to be Republican. Yeah.
Well, we know that it does
Took us-
not matter.
No,
It
what the
does
label
not matter.
is. What the
we
label
are
is.
out of here tonight, John. Thank you for being with us. Thank the crew for working so hard. Thank you for watching every week. We greatly appreciate it. We want to say hi to Gail out there. I know you're watching tonight.
In retirement land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.
Great sentiment. Thank you for letting me be here. I really enjoyed it, James.
Thank you, John, for coming back.
Yeah.
Good to see you.